As you all know, Breloom fell to the new tier, and I think that it's one of the more interesting drops. So instead of doing a PS Live today, because I mean, hey, I featured it yesterday in the Deoxys defense video, wanted to do a little video today where I'm going to cover a ton of Breloom sets and some of your good old checks and counters, because those are always good to know. As per usual, there's going to be a lot of variation between a lot of these sets, a lot of similarities as well. I think you see a couple of similarities as I just glance at it like this. But it should be a fun video because Breloom has a lot going for it. Of course, you enjoy these informative videos. You like also seeing these Pokemon in action because, of course, you're going to see more Breloom in the future. Make sure that you do subscribe if you are not already subscribed. I'm on my way to 10k subs. I think it'd be really cool to hit that. And like I've been saying, you get a little surprise once I get to 10k. I do think you will like the surprise. It's a very fun, very cool part of the lore. So, hey. You want that? You gotta help me out. Now, first set, of course, is Banded Breloom, and I think on this set, frankly, Terra Fight is probably a little better than Rock, but I'll show you the one that I run Rock on and truly feel good about it. By the way, just make sure you know. But Banded Breloom, why is it so good? Well, Breloom is, how you call it, strong. This is a big number, and typically when Pokemon have big number in attacking stat, you can run a choice item on it very, very easily. Also, just moving the tab around there, disregard that. But Breloom's a really good banded user for many reasons. One, the coverage is actually pretty good. Even with just this, what I'll call standard with quotes, because there's one other variation that I think is standard. Standard moveset. You cover most of the tier, bar the bulky poison types really well. And even some of the bulky poisons, if I saw my mostly Minjagalgi, they're not the best at switching into Loom like repeatedly. One of the underrated parts about Breloom is gonna be that Vileplume can't affect Spore you since you're a grass type. That's really big because it means that if I want to do things like, you know, calc a little fun, unless I'm forgetting, by the way, how affect Spore works, I don't think I am. But if I wanted to do this, which would technically get rid of my resistance to affect Spore, but like, look at this. If I have already hit you with CC once, say rocks are up, you add another 12.5. That means at minimum, this thing switches and it takes 49% from CC plus rocks. And that Terra, almost always guaranteed, unless you get like a mid-roll on the CC follow-up, to KO Plume. That is insane damage output for a mon that you would probably think gets just outright walled. Of course, we could also address how Galarian Slowbro, if you watched the video yesterday, got to the final battle, you'll recall I kept Bullet Seeding a Galarian Slowbro. It was taking like 10% from each hit. That's really good. I mean, technically you get 2 5 hits in a row. Pretty unlikely, but you get 2 5 hits in a row. You could just pop that mon too. Now, we want to talk about maybe a more consistent way to hit it. I do think Bulldoze is a fine move on this mon. As we said, a lot of your counterplay are going to be poison types. Even just mons get like take a hit, like a Monkey Dory might pivot it on your CC or your Mach Punches. If you want to pop that just immediately, you could Bulldoze it. Now, like, here's the nice thing again. We look at Monkey Dory. I apologize if you hear stuff in the background. AC broke again. As you can see here though, Bullet Seed, even just 3 hits, just 1,000,000 to Monkey. 4 hits is already just one-shotted after rocks. So it's not like a mon that's really, really hard, but keep in mind, the weighting of the hits, I believe, is the same as Scale Shot, so it's 35, 35 for 2 or 3 hits respectively, and then 15 or 15 for 4 and 5 hits. So generally, you're going to be getting that 2 or 3 hitter anyway, and you're not going to be able to get that juicy one-shot, so it could be cool to Bulldoze it on the Switch. Of course, as well, like I just mentioned, Slowbro Galar is another mon in the tier. Potentially just smack with a Bulldoze, if Bulldoze would be in the builder. Look at that. Easy 2-shot. And if you force the Terra, well, as long as they're not Terra Fairy, it's a pretty decent outlook. Now, a lot of them will be, but it is what it is. You know, say la vie. And I think on this one, you do Terra Rock. Just because if you're not going to have CC as well, I don't think Terra Fight gets as much value. And when you run this configuration, you may as well get a little bit more utility versus the Talon. So you can always burn your Terra versus it if you expect any non-U-turn attack. Even if they Wisp you, you one-shot with Rock Tomb with Terra Rock. Of course, if you break the Wisp, you don't even need to Terra, but hey, Predict the Brave Bird. Whoa, good night, Talonflame. Naturally, losing CC does mean that your Plume matchup is worse, as you all, we literally just showed you. That CC Calc versus Plume is insane. Just being able to two-shot with Terra Fight is really, really cool. But I digress. And I do think even, by the way, on this variant, and you saw this yesterday, I did run Terra Rock on this. I think you can do it so long as you run Rock Tomb, and if you're running something like a 4 attacks per loom, you're gonna have Rock Tomb just because it's your most convenient way to hit the Talonflame, and it also covers other fighters like, not fires, like Chandelure and Hisui Typh. So, there you go. Next setup as well, we got Sub Punch. I wasn't as sure on moves for this beyond Focus Punch, Seed Bomb, Substitute, but Poison Heal with Toxic Orb is of course really cool for Breloom. The defenses are really pretty cringe, but typing-wise at least, Breloom does have some angles to where maybe you could get a sub. For example, if you switch into a Flygon EQ, yes, you are going to take more than you would like from EQ. That's with Terra. Like, this technically does a lot more than you'd like. By the way, again, y'all saw this was set to loop. I'm not crazy. But EQ does this much. So, it still breaks your subs, but unlikely that a Flygon's going to want to keep trading versus you. And so you could sub up on the EQ, and that could be a decent outlook from there. You're not going to do, like, a ton to Plume is the problem. This set's going to really struggle a lot more to break through your bulky poison types. Technically, you could do Bulldos here, but it's like, do you want to have nothing for T-Flame? I wouldn't recommend it. The one benefit to this set in the T-Flame matchup, in spite of that, and why I think you could even do, like, Facade here, for example, or Mach Punch. The nice thing with that Talon matchup is, since you're Poison Heal, you don't care about Flame Body or even Will-O-Wisp. So those are some cool things. I also think for Terra types, like, you could definitely do Ghost. Ghost just allowing you to have that CC immunity. So if you want to try and set up a sub versus maybe a Mian Chao, as you see, Mian Chao right up here, you could do that and it wouldn't be impossible. You could even maybe Terra Ghost versus I was gonna say Lucario, but they're just gonna outspeed and hit you with something else. Disregard that point. Not important. Maybe one of Terra Ghost versus something like, I don't know. Maybe you predict the Monkey Dory to Sludge Wave, and you could take a little less. I don't know. Let me cook, okay? Leave me alone. But yeah, as I said, Facade here can work. Mach Punch here can work. You could probably even drop Seed Bomb if we're honest and run Facade. There's something about a grass type that cannot touch water types for, like, truly good damage that I don't like. Like, in theory, Facade and Focus Punch should still be plenty, but y'all know the issues with Focus. And Facade, I don't know. Maybe this ends up working out fine anyway, because you don't really care about the, what they're gonna do back. And most of them don't even run coverage for you. Like, Quag isn't gonna have anything, Pert won't. Gastro would have to be like Ice Beam or Clear Smog to have a move for super effective damage versus you. I don't really care about this too much. But I digress. I think, again, you have a lot of versatility beyond these two moves. I think probably this is what I'd run the most often with Terra Ghost. This seems like it'd probably be the most ideal. You can even do Poison, I'm sure, and it's fine. That way you still get a CC resistance, but also if something like Vileplume comes out, you could have a little insurance versus that. You could do Steel as well. Obviously, then you're just weak to CCs. But this would help versus Sylveon, which is picking up with usage. This way, even if you're behind a sub and Sylveon wants to Hyper Voice you, it's going to do at least a little less. And as you see, we are EV'd for like max speed Moss Sylveon in addition to max speed Admin in Citroor. So you'll be able to outspeed Sylve anyway and two-shot it, which is cool. Or maybe one, probably not one shot. I don't think Facade slaps it that bad, but yeah. Then we got this little Focus Sash Swords Dance Breloom. Shouts Eternally for passing me a team that had this on it that he had built. It seemed like a really cool set. Of course, this is going to be better on like your hyper offenses primarily, where you're trying to just keep hazards off. So think maybe like you have just like a standard Stealth Rock lead and you're not going for full hazard stack. You're also not going webs, obviously, because that's a little greed at that point. And you pairs with like a Cinccino, and that way you're able to keep hazards off, preserve your Sash, and maybe avoid a Revenge Kill from something like even a Talonflame. I mean, you're going to be able to eat up the Brave Bird and just Rock Tomb it and it dies. Even something like Glowbro, at the very least, once you're at +2, if you get the seed bomb hits you need, you may be able to win the trade, pending if they're like sludge bomb and try to fish for a poison versus you. If there's like Psyshock instead, then you should be safe. If they're dual stab, well, you cry, but again, you can just dodge poison. But again, like we talked about earlier, your bullet seeds from Banded Breloom are doing like 10%. This is Jolly instead of Adamant, so of course you're going to do a little less. But you're still going to do plenty of damage. And potentially, if you're able to somehow get some earlier chip on the Glowbro, you might be able to even break through it. I think for Terra types, you don't need to do defensive on this just because you have the Focus Sash, so you have a little bit more room to play. I think just going fighting and trying to amp up your Mach Punch, which in theory would be what you try to clean with after a Sword Stance boost, is going to be the best bet you've got. You could try going Ghost again. Like, there's going to be some options you could still try just for preserving your Sash. By options, I really mean option. Like, I could see Ghost on this being okay, just because you then get... Oh, see, look at that. Now it's not looping. Very sad. But you get your Ghost going. Play. Oh my god. No, I said you play. I'm so sorry this is having so many issues, guys. But you got like that as an option just in case you wanted to call me and shout out and say, hey, you trying to CC me? No, no, no. Greedy, of course, because they could U-turn, but hey, you get the CC read, right? You look really good at the game. And I mean, I don't think there's really a lot of room to change the moves, unfortunately, on this one. Like, if you don't care about coverage, I guess you could go CC. Doesn't sound the best to me, though. And then, here's this set. You could do bulk up Breloom with Toxic Orb Poison Heal. I think on this set, again, like Terra Rock with Rock Tomb's cool. Like Facade, you could even probably do like Terra Normal if you wanted to truly amp up this. It just doesn't seem that amazing. If anything, I'd probably do Steel if I ran this, or Poison again. Something that's a bit more targeted defensively. That gives you a bit of help versus defensive answers to you. Like again, the Plumes, the world, the Sylveons of the world even. Steel even helps versus Talonflame, which I think is pretty practical if you want to go that route. Poison just, again, being cool to help out versus Xiao. Now, this one, at the very least, if we go to Mr. Breloom in the calc, also, yeah, loaded dice you could run on Breloom as well, but I wanted to showcase a different set, so leave me alone. We want to look at the calc here versus me and Xiao. Mach Punch at +1 already does this much. That is jolly. So, there you go. Also kind of goes to show as well, you don't necessarily need Terra Ghost even on like Sword Stance Breloom for Xiao, because you just one-shot it anyway with your Mach Punch, which is pretty cool. It's more just if you're trying to find an opportunity to like get it set up. And maybe even find like, as in get it set up, as in get like Sword Stance set up. It gives you a little bit more room when you run the Ghost Terra. But as we're saying, Steel can be pretty cool, just helping you out versus Plume a little more, making sure that you don't lose that 1v1. Sylveon, if you're at +1, you won't one-shot, but +2, it starts getting a lot harder for Sylveon to match up against you, especially with how strong Facade is. So, I think it's an okay give and take there. And again, as we said too, Rock Tomb's going to be fine if you want to hit Talon, but I think this configuration kind of doesn't care about Talon. You just have to worry about the Flare Blitz variants. Blitz Talon's probably not going to be as common in this meta, because without Magnezone around, that was probably the biggest reason you ran Blitz. It's still good, because you want to do more damage to Copperajah and Klefki. I mean, that's obviously better than just Will-O-Wisping. But, in my eyes, a lot of the incentive to running Blitz in the previous meta was you cared about Magnezone, and if your team was a little weaker to Magnezone, well, the way to fix that was to make sure your Talon wasn't just a free switch-in. U-turn did that as well, but hey, Flare Blitz did more damage, so it was cool for that. Now I want to talk about Counterplay to Breloom, because the way I talked about it here, I do feel like we kind of gassed this man up pretty successfully. We definitely made this mon out to be like a god mon, but if you notice the VR post from good user Phantomistics down here, he only has Breloom rated as about B+, which, you know, not low, but also not very high. I also want to point out, press A-, based take, acknowledging that this mon is not that great, right now at least. Fair, I like it. We're gonna see a lot of, I think, with Crest and DoD, some varying opinions anyway, because these are like super weird mons in the early stage of a metagame. So definitely expect within like the next few days, I'd say probably on the weekend, I'm gonna try and drop a VR post where I talk about all my Pokemon in this new meta, just how I'm feeling about the new drops. Hopefully by then I've got maybe some better Crest games as well, because jeez, they're dire. But so, okay, B+, why might that be? Well, here's some checks. The list isn't necessarily exhaustive, but these were like the mons that I just went through the list of NU and I was like, yeah, these count as checks. So they're just alphabetized as well, so don't read into the order I have them in, it's just irrelevant. So we got Bramble at the top. Bramblegast is of course a problem because I don't have EVs put in. There you go. So Bramble's a problem because you're faster than Breloom and you just poltergeist it. And as you can see, Bramblegast, that's defensive. But as you see from defensive, I do a million with Polter as well. So here you go. Poltergeist doing 76 minimum is pretty dirty. And Breloom's a mon that could definitely be hitting some helmets if you're looking at Pokemon like Vileplume and Galarian Slowbro that check it. If you ever try to go for like a CC, maybe a Mach Punch even to pick something off, that could give Bramble the requisite chip to beat you down. It even has Strength Sap if it feels so inclined. Try to chip away at you a little bit attack-wise first, and then maybe, you know, throws off the Polter afterwards. Shandy as well, big threat. Literally any of its sets is going to be faster than you, and it just smokes you. Terra or not, none of the Terra types Breloom really runs are going to be amazing. Terra Rock, of course, helps versus something like Shandy. But even then, man, look at the spec Chandelure calc. And check back with me after that. Do we really think Terra Rock is saving us? Are we sure? Funny enough, I mean, if I just want to, I could Shadow Ball you if I'm going to predict that you might try to Terra, and you'd just die anyway. You just are gone. So that's obviously a bit of a threat. It's immune to Mach Punch too, so you don't even have that. I have like a slew of bulkier answers here. God damn it, there's nothing in here for Cress. There's not gonna be anything in here for some of these mons. But regardless, Cresselia, of course, kinda can just use Breloom as setup fodder if it's banded and locks into a bad move. Even if it's like setup. Here's the thing with Cress. Cresselia, if we go fast Calm Mind, because this is what I've seen run in Inu a lot. Breloom, and this is what like loaded dice, this is like the most optimal damage you will ever be getting. If Breloom's not Terra'd, an unboosted Moonblast from Cress is this much. Also, technically, if you had 5 hits, you could untap Cress. So there is that. And this is like a +1 Breloom. Maybe if you're +2 even, you can like always do this. But a lot of the time, if Cress is just getting in on a CC, it's just setting up on you. And same with DOD. And these are two mons you don't really want to give a whole lot of room to. And DOD, even if it's like Psychic Noise, if you want to run the Cosmic Power 2 attack set, this mon just outright does like 70-something with a Psychic Noise. Just destroys you. It's very unfun. Yeah. Safe to say, even if these mons could, in theory, be overwhelmed by Breloom, it requires some really, like, optimal situations. Breloom being, you know, basically super full health. Breloom having boosts. And as you saw, 2 of these sets don't even boost. One of these sets is banned. I mean, you're literally locked into a move. You want to lock in a Mach Punch versus one of these? CC? Okay. Go for it. I will boost 20 turns in your face. Dragalge, another check. Although, here's the funniest calc that I could find with Dragalge. From Mr. Just Banded Breloom with the CC variant. So you may think, oh, did he need Bulldo? No, didn't need no damn Bulldos. So this is actually the wrong set. This is Fizdef Dragalge. You still take a decent chunk, although obviously this isn't unfair. Now, I was talking about this type of set where they go max HP, some speed creep, and then dump in a special attack. You ready? What the hell's this? Why, bro's freaking 2-shot, dude. Oh, my bad. He's 99.6% of the time Dragalge's 2-shot. My bad, guys. My bad. I was being exact. So that's pretty humorous. Now, again, as y'all saw, the set that I like running, shout out ZS for putting me onto the set a while ago. Switch in. Much better, but still susceptible. Other ones, you got some offensive checks here. So something like Gallade is here. This mon's naturally not switching into hits, but you resist Mach Punch, and you one-shot with Psycho Cut. Sacred Sword also does 500 million damage. Like, this is literally one-shots. You don't even have to predict a Terra from Breloom, because most of the Terras it's gonna do are... They're not helping! They'd have to Terra Poison, and that's like an insane read. They're like Indeedee, where, I mean, sure, if the showdown usage not help, whatever. You know what this is running. Expanding Force, Smoking Breloom. If it's not Terra Steel, you're dying. And you're immune to Mach Punch too with Psychic Surge, which is super good. Monkey Dory super resists Mach Punch since it's Poison and Psychic type. Easily one-shots Loom. Again, you just have to worry about maybe a Terra Psychic Steel coming out. And, I mean, the reality is that's just not going to be one of the most common. At least not right now. I think Fighting and even Rock are probably the most common, with some Fire thrown in there too. So, another good check. Obviously, Bullet Seed, if you're trying to switch in on that, good luck. But Fighting moves you can at least get some leverage with versus. Glowbro gonna be one of the more stable switches because it's also got Regenerator. And Bulldos, I don't know exactly how common to expect Bulldos to be. Oh my god. How about I'm dying? Oh, so yeah, Bulldos does 2-shot you. However, the other moves don't. Like as you saw, Banded Bullet Seed has to get like the highest rolls possible, 5 hits, 2 turns in a row. So you're pretty safe, and as long as you have literally a stab move, you can smoke for a Loom. Pretty good. Talonflame, one of the best pivots around Loom. Bandit CC does a lot. I don't want to make that clear. Bandit CC does a lot. And if you're like Terra Fire Breloom, which I could have gone over earlier, I just kind of didn't. If you're Terra Fire, you don't even care about the potential Flame Body, which is pretty cool. So you just CC. I think you still have to switch after the first CC, because I believe you die to Brave Bird after a defense drop. I think. Right? I mean, surely you do. I know Talonflame sucks, but like, come on, man. Fire. -1. You can live 1. Depending on previous chip damage. Technically, after rocks, you're dead if you like Terra Fired and switched in, but yeah, I digress. I mean, here, have your standard Talonflame put in there. Vaguely standard. This is not really standard anymore. Let's do there you go. Good enough, right? But Talon otherwise is a really solid Loom check. Rock Tomb also, you obviously got to play around that, but that's just a prediction game at the end of the day. Hisui Tithe, literally same reasons as Shandy. Pivot around, stab moves, one-shot it, GG. And then Vileplume, which y'all saw, Breloom can beat Vileplume. Get the rocks up, CC into Terra CC, Baba Booey, that guy is gone. But otherwise, you're pivoting into this mon pretty okay. Gotta be careful as well around some of those Terra Steel techs, especially from the Toxic Orb sets with Facade. But in terms of just being a mon that walls the dual stab attacks of Loom, does that very well. So I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope some of these sets as well inspired you to maybe team build with Mr. Breluminator a little bit more, as per usual. Let me know down below, what's your favorite Breloom set that you have tried out so far? Or maybe what's a set that you want to try out in the future? Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.